Is it going? Okay. I'm Jacob Downey, and this is my essay on the question, what is gerrymandering and how is it affecting our politics today? Simply put, gerrymandering is a political loophole allowing politicians to manipulate votes in their favor by dividing the constituencies of an area in a way that serves some machinated purpose. Each state is divided into districts based on population size, and these districts elect public officials to represent them. Each representative is tasked with making decisions that align with that district's beliefs and interests. To make sure the representatives are aligned with the people, an election is held, allowing citizens to choose the candidates who best fit their needs. Sometimes, though, these elections are not held fairly. Gerrymandering is often used to box in the good voters and box out the bad voters to secure some purpose, such as a particular representative seat in the House. Ideally, voters pick the candidate who will best represent them. Gerrymandering twists this process and allows that candidates to instead pick their voters. The candidates know which part of the state lean toward their views, and those are the people that they want to be in their district. Gerrymandering, in a sense, interferes with citizens' fundamental right to vote by making their votes less legitimate and thus less meaningful. Gerrymandering can be used to manipulate elections by redrawing boundaries so that opposing voters are placed into one larger district, reducing the opposition congressional representation. Elections can also be manipulated by diluting the opposition's voting power by drawing maps in a way that spreads the opposition voters across many districts. Sometimes, when a candidate is required to live in the district they represent, opponents can defeat them by redrawing maps that force the candidate into a district that would be harder for them to win. In some cases, this manipulation is so blatant, it's hard to imagine that it's legal. In Pennsylvania, Democratic Representative Frank Mascara was first elected into Congress in 1994. In 2002, the Republican-dominated state legislature changed the boundaries of the district he represented so that he had to run against fellow Democrat John Murtha instead of a Republican opponent. The redrawing of maps was so outrageous that Mascara's new district formed a narrow finger that stopped just after encompassing his home. It is very easy for schemes like this to change the outcome of election. That is why gerrymandering is so unethical. The current system often results in chaos, power plays, and a lot of wasted time. Every 10 years after the U.S. Census, Ohio's 99 House districts and 33 Senate districts are redrawn to reflect the new population information. In response to the skewed maps approved by Ohio Republicans after the 2010 census, voters passed amendments in 2015 and 2018 to try to put an end to partisan gerrymandering. Now, any map passed without bipartisan support can only stand for 4 years and can't unfairly disadvantage any political party. New maps can also now be challenged before the Ohio Supreme Court. This was a giant step forward in protecting voting rights in Ohio, but enforcement has been a disaster. After the data from the 2020 census was released, the Ohio Redistricting Committee, or ORC, approved new, obviously gerrymandered maps with only Republican support. The maps were immediately challenged in the state Supreme Court and struck down as unconstitutional partisan gerrymandering. The ORC kept submitting new partisan maps to be struck down again and again until voters were forced to vote under unconstitutional maps in 2022. In addition to unfairly altering election outcomes, gerrymandering affects politics today by contributing to a growing disillusionment in the political process and a growing lack of trust in the government. Americans trust their elected representatives to speak on their behalf, but when the system is manipulated, this trust is violated and can be lost. Disillusionment and distrust lead many citizens not to vote at all. For America to be a true democracy, everyone's voice should be heard. Each vote had to be taken into equal consideration without the influence of gerrymandering or other forms of manipulation or voter suppression. Corruption, manipulation, and scheming for power have no place in this process. One solution would be to use a purely mathematical, computerized algorithm to divide states into districts based on population data. This would increase fairness and take the guesswork and opinion out of the matter. It would standardize the process and save a lot of unnecessary arguing and confusion. Candidates would have to stand on their ideas and records and would no longer have the option of choosing their voters. Thank you.